Oh, other than just mentioning my dice jail, I forgot to ask you for my bennies, and that game's coming up pretty soon, and I need as many bennies as possible, and so that's my request.
Carl Rodriguez is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hey everyone, this is Carl from the GMologist. Thank you for listening. And that was my wife Amy asking for bennies. I guess she would like some meta currency for our Twilight 2000 game because it's a tough game. They realize that it only takes a bullet or two to take down a foe, which means that it will only take a bullet or two to take them out. I don't think any of them has been really shot. Someone has suffered some radiation poisoning and was injured off stage. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We haven't gotten into we've only done the healing and the damage and the near death for NPCs, not for PCs, which is interesting. In any case, there's no meta currency for Twilight 2000. There's a push mechanic, and you can get bonuses if you push your agendas, either your moral code or your long-term goal, or if you help your buddy. But generally the push mechanic, you just get a reroll, and if you fail and get ones on the fail, then you take damage or stress. So no bennies for T2K. However, if you want to save them or are asking for them for next week's Deadlands Halloween game, okay, because it is Savage Worlds after all. So today I do have some more call-ins from Amy and call-ins from Jason Connerly and call-ins from BJ Boyd of the Arcane Alienist. So I will attempt to answer their comments and questions and respond to them. And that might be it for this show. It'll be a shorter show. I have some games coming this week, which you will sure to get recaps and comments. And I still got this plan to have a joint session, which may or may not happen sometime this week. But thanks for listening, and here we go.
Hey, Carl, Jason here. Just want to say, enjoyed your podcast, the latest episode. It's great that you got to play with Amy. You know, I don't know about forcing her to do actual plays. If she's comfortable just playing with you, I think session recaps are enough. And if she argues with you about the rules, then you just need to say yes, dear, and play it the way she asks, so she keeps playing with you. I mean, that's just, a happy wife makes it for a happy life and all that, But anyhow, look forward to playing with you here next week. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for the call, Jason. Yeah, Amy will explain the rules argument, but I don't think it really was an argument. Maybe I'm overselling it. But yeah, looking forward to playing this week. We got T2K lined up and some Pathfinder and some DCC on Saturday morning and some Ash. So I promise not to be so petulant in that game. But it's a fun-filled week of gaming, and I get to travel some. I'm a little nervous about the travel because I haven't traveled for a while. COVID and all. And just as I get older, the less and less I want to do those things. Like I was actually talking to Amy and some of my other friends, and I don't know if I even want to go. Like I used to go to like big arena shows, and we had tickets to go see Judas Priest, and fortunately they postponed it, but I was already getting anxious about having to go to a big arena show. Now I would love to still go to small venue shows. You see up and coming artists or artists that aren't like A-level artists, I guess. But I wouldn't mind going to little shows because it seems, I don't know, I like that intimacy more. I don't, just the arena shows, it's such a pain, the parking, the lines, the people. Yeah, so I'm seeming to get that way. That's why I would like to go, for example, to like North Texas RPG Con or smaller cons as opposed to like Gen Con, right? So anyway, yeah, I'm getting strangely not wanting to be around large groups of people. So I wonder if that's an age thing. I'll have to look into my aging literature and see if that's a psychological consequence of growing older. Anyway, Amy responds to, I let her preview your message and she responds to it, which is kind of interesting.
Hey, Carl, just calling in to say that I had a lot of fun. I wouldn't say you were fighting on the rules with me, except when we were trying to decide, and it wasn't fighting on the rules. We had to figure out what the rule was as far as figuring out when I could cast that spell to call, I think they were zombies, to the circle, because it said I couldn't cast it until after dusk, but since it was so early in the morning, sun hadn't come up yet. I think that's what we determined, but other than that, there wasn't really any fighting. And as far as rolling a lot, yeah, I mean, I have to roll for each time I do something, but that's the way the game goes. The dice just disagree a lot. Anyways, that's why I have a dice jail. So, thanks for running. Had a great time. Talk to you soon. One last message and then I'll stop. I wanted to point out that the most fun as a wife is playing with your husband as the GM, because then when you flirt with the characters, the GM actually flirts back.
Yeah, we did have to look up some rules, as you say, in regards to casting spells, and I guess we got them right. So, we did the sanity loss, the power roll, the opposed power roll as needed, and I think it was just whether you guys were early enough prior to sunup in that occasion, and if it was dark enough for the summoning to work, and we decided, sure, why not? It would have been interesting, but yeah, it would have been interesting if there had been more conflict and action, and one of those zombies had actually attacked, but I think we did that already, and it was pretty gory and bloody, so better to make for a more sterile and satisfying ending. And I thought it was kind of cool that your character, the weight of all that responsibility in saving these kids' souls, made her go insane. So, very cool. And yes, we do, I guess, I don't know if that would be uncomfortable for other people to see, but she's making this relationship Keiko Kane is with Mickey Harrigan, and I'd make him kind of shy and not super responsive initially, but he's coming around. And I guess that is kind of fun. It's a different aspect of gameplay. And of course, I'd be comfortable doing that type of stuff, romance, with my wife at the table and as part of it. So with an NPC. But I don't know. It's an interesting question if that would probably not be good or wise with other people. I don't know. I know Joe always talks about that type of stuff, and he's cool with that at his table. But Joe Richter, maybe you can chime in about romance at the gaming table, because that's a pretty interesting subject, I think.
By the way, for the record, I was just kidding about giving Joe Richter a hard time. Joe will give us plenty of reasons to give him a hard time, but we don't need to manufacture anything to give him a hard time. So let me just make that clear. Okay, I'm going to let you go.
Hey, Carl, I've left a message for Joe, but your comments on Dune on his latest episode got me thinking about what would it be like to play Pendragon in Dune, so that, the events of Dune, which have a big upheaval, and you've got noble houses involved, and inter-house conflict, and a big change that comes to the world, but not in the way that ultimately I think that doesn't end the way a lot of people think it's going to end. If you could do that with Pendragon, where you're playing a character, the key historical events are set as depicted in the Dune series, and it's more about the story you create of how your characters get involved in those events and respond to them, and whether they succeed or fail or things like that. Anyway, just a thought.
Hey BJ, yeah, the house intrigue in Dune would be pretty cool. I like the Dune RPG. A lot of people don't because it's a modifius 2d20, and instead of attribute, they have drives, which are duty, faith, justice, power, and truth. And the skills are very broad: battle, communicate, discipline, move, understand, with a series of foci depending on your specialty. So people didn't like that, mainly because, I don't know, I think it runs kind of like Powered by the Apocalypse, where you, in theory, you're supposed to tell the GM, hey, this is what I want to do, and then you and the GM come up with a drive and a specialty or a skill to simulate and roll under that action if it needs it. So I think it works. I think what's kind of cool too is that you can play, there's two types of play modes, and they can, much like, I don't know if you're familiar with the role-playing game Rain, but much like that, they have agents and architects. So there's two levels of play that allow players to work as powers that are behind the scenes and as agents in a direct mission. So the architect play, the player characters will use assets that they possess from a distance to achieve an objective, and moving troops or bringing a spy master are the examples given. In agent level play, then the player characters get their hands dirty, and all of this is couched around the fact that you do and you can have intrigue in the Imperium, in the verse that Dune exists in, and you can create your own house. So I think I would like to do that at some point, maybe in a separate episode. I would like, let's kind of maybe do that. Let's make a house in Dune. I have some ideas on what kind of story I would like to tell or promote. So yeah, thanks for the suggestions, and we'll get to it there, BJ. I think I have another friend who would be interested. And suddenly, just like that, we have calls from Daniel Norton, and I'm adding these here into this episode because they're referring to ongoing discussions from the previous several episodes. And these are, first of all, is it cheating if you watch actual play on YouTube or Twitch? And Daniel has a good observation on that. And then we talk about this ongoing discussion about Joe Richter's question, gold for XP, which Joe does not say is a bad thing, but wants to know how it fits into the fiction, since he doesn't like things appearing out of nowhere, and they need for him, some verisimilitude or backing in the verse. So, take it away, Daniel.
Hey, Carl. Daniel Bandit's keep calling in. I guess in reference to the actual play cheating thing, this is not exactly the same thing, but I was just thinking to myself that back when I first started running again, I watched a bunch of actual plays of things I was planning on running. So I think they're kind of cool as a DM to watch, because you can see how somebody else ran something to kind of give you some idea of how it would go. But yeah, I think as a player, I don't know, it would cheapen it for me, personally. I've played with players who have run those modules that I was running before, and they were cool, not using the meta knowledge and stuff, but you got to trust your players, I guess. But one who goes out and reads a module because they're about to play in it, that is definitely cheating. I don't know any way that you could think it's not.
Yeah, Daniel, I think it's the intent, right? It's the intent of watching a Twitch or YouTube video and that you're going to play soon, so it'll fresh in your memory. Yeah, it is cheating because you want to know all the secrets and hacks and cheats, and I guess some people enjoy that, but I agree it doesn't seem right, and then I definitely recuse myself if I've recently read through something like that. If it's something I've played before and the GM really wants to run it and is cool with me knowing, then yeah, I guess that's fine, but I would definitely attempt to recuse myself, and the GM would have to be insistent, because it's like it's hard for me to read a book or watch a movie again because of that, right? So, and then if you know all the tricks, I mean, it's different from maybe some of these old adventures that I just don't remember because it's been so long. But and I put those to the side, and if I'm going to run them, I read them. But if someone else says they're going to run them, I won't. Right?
Hey, Carl, calling in about the XP for treasure. I mean, I'm not going to try to defend it one way or the other. It doesn't actually make sense to ever defend anything against Joe. But anyways, I think that what you have to do when you're either developing a game or setting up a campaign or whatever is you have to decide what it is that you, as the GM or whatever, and also the players want to achieve in that campaign. And then offer rewards that support that. So what I mean by that is, if you have a campaign where your players are playing, let's say, and I don't play the Witcher video game, so I don't know, but like the Witcher kind of thing where they're going around killing monsters and that's how they make their living and they're trying to rid monsters of the world, then awarding XP for combat makes the most sense because what you want players to do in that campaign is kill monsters. If you're running a campaign where you want, it's a political campaign and the PCs are trying to get power politically or protect a king or make, become ambassadors and stuff like that, then you want to give XP for achieving certain goals like that. Like, I would say either milestone XP or XP based on achieving certain tasks work best in those situations. So XP for gold is really about exploration and discovery, in my opinion. D&D to me is about discovery. So you're going deep in those caverns, you're trying to pull out this treasure because you're basically treasure hunters. And if you're treasure hunters first and killing people second and, being kings third, then the most XP should come from the treasure because you're treasure hunters. So I think what it does is it just sets you up to play the game that your table wants to play by establishing the proper, XP.
There you go, Joe. Daniel has the definitive answer. I like, Daniel, that you're flexible, that you're not one of these people that says, well, it says in the book, therefore it is, and is not willing to, if you run a, right? So you have to be flexible. So what if you're running an intrigue campaign set in a king's court or lord's court, and you can't just go around killing the lord and the king just because that's the only way you get XP. That makes no sense. So that's really good that we have this flexibility as a GM to implement XP as we see the story progress, whether it's killing monsters because that's what we do because we're trophy hunters, or getting the diplomatic points and agenda that for whom you're representing against the Lord to get concessions, and that would reward you XP. Or, like you said, since D&D is about discovery and exploration, collecting gold is that reward, right? So it's like you're a Indiana Jones or Belloc. You get the idol and you get the gold, you get the XP for it, right? When you sell it to the museum. So good stuff. Hopefully, Joe Richter, that satisfies you. Your hypothetical would then be the players have a hook. They know where there's a big wad of treasure that's just there, and they get it. They explored it. They discovered it. They took it back to town, and they get XP for it. So there you go. And just make sure you flip a coin to your Witcher. Or toss it anyway. All right, well, that'll be it for today. I'm hoping to have some cool shows this week full of recaps and maybe some rule stuff to discuss and maybe or play if I can manage it. I'm going out of town Thursday, Friday, so missing my Warhammer fantasy game, but the guys want to keep that as a game day, so they've organized I think they're gonna play something that day, a board game probably, like a RPG like board game, Dominion or something maybe, which is kind of cool. So anyway, thanks for all the call-ins, Amy, Jason, BJ, and Daniel. And thank you again for the music, TJ.